Hello, hello, welcome to the channel. And today I'm going to talk about, should I ever sell my Bitcoin? So I know it's a general question. It's been around there for a while, but I'm going to tell you why it's an important question to have the answer to and my thoughts on it. So smash the like button, hit subscribe, comment below, and let's get into this topic. So I was talking with one of my clients today, and she was saying, hey, when should I sell my Bitcoin? If it goes up, like predicted to 100,000, do I sell out there and then wait for it to go down and then buy back in and, play that game? And, I always like to tell people this when I talk to them. It's like, you need to understand why you're putting your money into crypto, right? Why that's the first thing you need to know. Like, know yourself, like what your skill set is, what your time constraints are, what you want out of life, and really understand and lock in your why. And then build your crypto strategy around your why. And if you're trying to time the market, right? It's always good if you can buy low and sell high and you can enter and exit at the perfect point in time. But the reality is only one person can make the trade at the very bottom of the market, and only one person can make the trade at the very top of the market, at least make the winning trade at those points in time. And so you're always going to be somewhere in between. So it's not going to be perfect. So if you're looking to trade, which is, entering the market and then exiting the market over a short time frame. People sometimes feel a trade over like minutes and seconds. Some people times feel a trade over days and weeks and months, and sometimes feel a trade over a couple years. And then there's the other type where once they buy something, this is the Warren Buffett type, and in crypto, the Michael Saylor type, and a lot of Bitcoin types. Well, once they buy it, they never sell it, right? They never sell out of their position. They're not looking to cycle in to trade to try and maximize their capital on that asset. They're looking to acquire more of that asset because they believe in the value of that asset long term. So in crypto, there's basically like four buckets that your money can fall into once you start getting into the space. And so let me break these down. Of course, disclaimer, not financial advice. There's risk in this market. Always do your own research. If you don't agree with my opinion, totally fine. Go find someone else and kind of triangulate and whatever. Anyways, so the first bucket is savings, right? This is the money that you want to basically pass on to your grandchildren. Okay, the money that you want to keep for generations, the assets that you would pass on. So think about that. So bucket of savings, the things I want to be able to pass on that I would hold for forever, and I'm not looking to sell them. Okay, and I hope they go up in value, so my family has a basket of assets that will sustain them for generations, generational wealth, right? I think that's important to consider. Savings. The next one is investings, and so investing is basically where you're looking at current companies and technologies, and you're trying to make a bet on the future, right? You're trying to make a bet like, hey, I think this company is going to be worth more, or this company is going to take market share from that company, this type of industry is going to take market share from this industry or consume this industry, and so on and so forth, right? It's like, hey, I'm going to buy Tesla stock versus Ford stock because I think Tesla has better electronic technology for electronic cars, and I think electronic cars are going to have more market share, it's going to be worth more, whatever it is, right? And when you're doing investing, you look at the fundamentals of the market. And of course, with investing, right, there's risk. There's risk involved in investing in any sort of new technology and anything, right? There's always risk. That's how you get a return in those things. But especially with crypto, since it's so new and a lot of crypto projects haven't found their market fit yet, when you invest, right, you're taking on a lot more risk. So you have to understand that these are high risk investments. And so if you're like a VC fund or of that mindset, you're going to diversify your investing portfolio around a lot of different projects and things like that, so you can maximize your expected return while minimizing your total losses of your portfolio. Of course, I'm not an expert on this, but so you really should do your own research and understand what projects are and why they're important. And when you're investing, you're probably going to look at it over a longer time frame. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4 years, right? That's what you're really the timeline of investing. So you're not looking for these daily fluctuations to buy and sell and all that kind of stuff. Then the next thing we have is basically trading. So trading is where you're looking to enter and exit the market based upon whatever system you're using. You could be using like the Fibonacci numbers. You could be using like moving averages, whatever you are using. You could be using literally the sun and the moon and the stars, like whatever the moon signal is or whatever your horoscope is to give you buy and sell signals. People trade like that. So whatever you're using, trading is like shorter term. You don't really care about the underlying business or anything like that. Sometimes the macro news does something, but you don't really care. So you just are playing the charts, right? What does the chart tell me that it's going to do? What movement is more likely? And I'm going to put a position on to capture the potential upside of the probability of this movement happening. Trading, that's when you're talking about entering and exiting positions, trying to multiply your capital and all of that. The last bucket is you have speculating, where there's no analysis, there's no nothing. You're just like, Oh, I heard about this dog coin. Everything in, all in, like everything on black, right? You're gambling. And I think it's good, important to understand those categories, understand how you want to position your money in those categories and which categories you want to operate the most in. And I think a lot of people try to tell people that they need to be traders. And it's not true. You don't have to be a trader to get involved with crypto. That's not the case at all. And I think a lot of people try to be traders, but they don't actually do the time, put the time in and do the research and the work, and they don't want it as part of their lifestyle, but they're trying to trade, and so that can create a lot of conflict. And also, people try to trade the wrong assets. So my client asked me, "Hey, why, hey, should I sell my Bitcoin, or when should I sell it? If it goes up to $100,000, should I sell it and try to wait for it to come down?" And it's like, you could, but if you're trying to trade, and again, not financial advice, but I wouldn't recommend trying to trade Bitcoin, right? You're gonna have to use larger sums of money to capitalize on the lower percentage movements of Bitcoin, right? And maybe if you're a skilled trader, that's what you do. You just trade Bitcoin. You don't worry about the altcoins because they're too erratic. But if you're looking to trade, you're probably going to get better gains going into the altcoins and understanding that world and playing that game a little bit. So that'd be one piece of advice. If you're looking for higher gains, higher returns, and you're looking to put money in and then take it out in a couple weeks, couple days, or whatever your timeline is, then you need to take on more risk, or understand what you're doing a lot better, and that's a whole different world, and it's something I don't typically recommend. So I typically scratch that bucket out. And when my client was talking about Bitcoin, I'm like, you could try to sell it, but you don't know if 100K is the top, right? It could go to 200K, and then now you're like, wow, I made $40,000, but then I have to pay capital gains tax on that, and now I'm out of the market, and it's at 200K, and so I bought it at 60,000, maybe you bought a whole Bitcoin at 60, you went to 100, so you got 100, you paid 30% on that, right? Of that $40,000 gain. So what is that? That's like another like $12,000 or so. So you're looking at $88,000, and it's not bad, but you could have been sitting at $200,000. Paid 60, got it for 200,000. But then you also don't have your Bitcoin. You don't have a position in the market, right? So you can't time this stuff perfectly. And some people can. Some people get lucky. Some people are good at it and they can do that. But you gotta be very careful. And so I always recommend, when it comes to Bitcoin, right? I recommend, once you put money into Bitcoin, treat it as your savings. That's your money that's gone, right? It's gone, it's saved. You're not spending it. You're not looking to cash out. You're going to give it to your grandkids, or you're going to leverage it as an asset for your family so you can borrow against it. And here's why. So let's go to this market and we can see all this stuff, right? So Bitcoin's about $59,000 today, right? And people expect it to go up to $500,000. So do you really care, like these small price movements? Really, if it goes up to $500,000, your goal should be to acquire more Bitcoin, right? And how can you acquire more Bitcoin? You could try to trade, or you could just like funnel money in, just hold it, right? Hold on for your life. And the reason why I think that's a fine strategy when it comes to Bitcoin is you don't have to worry about it. There's no stress. You're not sitting behind a computer. You just wait for times like this where it crashed down. You wait times where it went from 69 to 59, so $10,000, and then you reallocate some money. So you're working your job, your normal job, or whatever you're doing, and you're like, oh, Bitcoin crashed today? Cool, I'm gonna buy some more, right? And that's what you do. So you're basically buying it at the discounts whenever it happens. And so that's an easy strategy, because you never have to worry about, you don't have to worry about selling it. You don't have to worry about tax bills. You don't have to worry about any of that. You used to worry about storing it safely and securely, but you're just constantly stacking sats and building your Bitcoin portfolio. So that allows you to get exposure to crypto, because Bitcoin still controls the whole space, but without having to have the higher risk and higher stress of having to enter and exit positions, always be on your computer and all of that stuff, and timing the market. So, and the reason why I think that's a viable thing, because I do believe Bitcoin's going to $500,000 or $1 million in the future. Maybe not tomorrow, but in the next 5 to 10 years, because things like this. Staples Center just announced that they are being called Crypto.com Arena. Okay, you've also probably seen all the pro athletes signing deals with FTX, right? That's a thing. And then we have Facebook changing its name to Meta. So changing the name to the metaverse, and a lot of the metaverse tokens and gaming tokens have pumped because of Facebook changing its name, right? So this is one of the largest companies in the world is investing into this metaverse, the digital world, where NFTs and things like that, digital ownership of things, will need to be a thing in there. So that brings crypto. So Facebook isn't just doing this for willy-nilly because they want, to get some quick hype marketing. No, they're a $1 trillion company. They're doing this for a long-term play, because they want to capture market share, and they want to be the leader in the space, because they believe this is the future. So if you're one of the biggest companies in the world, you don't make like overnight moves just because. If you do, you're probably going to fail. And chances of Facebook failing or making a silly decision like this without strategy is pretty low. So That's not the case. Ted Cruz, right, looks to repeal the crypto rules in Biden's infrastructure bill. So you have the senators. You have senators talking about crypto. They're talking about legislation, how to incorporate crypto in different legislation, how to protect crypto from legislation that's too overbearing, right? So we have arenas, we have big companies, we have the Senate all talking and incorporating crypto into their daily activities, into their activities. We have the Coinbase CEO saying NFTs could be as big or bigger than all crypto on Coinbase. That's massive. So NFTs are crypto. So if that space grows continuously, it's a good thing. It's something that you will expect something like Bitcoin to continue to grow in this space. And of course, we have AMC accepting Shiba Inu for online payments next quarter, according to the chief executive. Now, I think this is a little bit more of a play to their meme audience. AMC was a meme stock, meme coin, but you're having companies use crypto as a way to entice and bring in new users who have been curious about the space, have been playing in that space. All right, so a lot of money was made here in this coin, and so they want to capture some of that money for their business. And they were like, hey, all these people just made a ton of money this year. One guy made like over $5 billion on an $8,000 trade. So let's bring them on in here and let's like say, hey, we'll take your money. So it's a marketing play there. So you have marketing plays. You have, this is a marketing play, but it's all, crypto.com, but it's the name of a stadium. This is going to be published on every time they play a game, every time. I think who plays the Staples Centers? Lakers, Clippers, Kings, and Sparks. So every time that airs on TV, they'll say, welcome to the crypto.com arena. That's huge. Crypto.com, crypto on every sports station, every single game that's played, right? Mass marketing. This is kind of hype marketing here. Facebook, Meta, right? They're investing billions of dollars into this digital infrastructure that will rely on things like NFTs, right? That's why NFTs, that's why Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong is saying NFTs will be could be bigger than all the crypto, right? They'll still be crypto, but NFTs will play a huge role. You have big franchises like Marvel and all these things launching their NFTs. I saw The Matrix was launching an NFT that to get involved with it. So you're getting all this involvement in this space. So it's not just going to just poof, wither out overnight, right? And this is happening. You have the senators looking to, like, more and more senators and politicians are actually becoming, Bitcoin politicians. The mayor of New York, Miami, they're taking their paychecks in Bitcoin. So this is important to think about when you think that crypto is at some of its all-time highs right now. Bitcoin's at $60,000, and you're trying to time the market, and you're like, wait, so even if it goes to $100,000 this year, do you think it's going to be done at $100,000? It might crash back down, and I highly think that there will be a correction in the future. It's going to happen, right? Despite all this news. I mean, that's my belief. There's some people believe that we won't have these kind of corrections. They'll continue to go. But look at this. It dropped $10,000 in the last 7 days, right? There's always going to be corrections. There's always going to be and this is a smaller correction. There's going to be larger corrections that happen. So you can try to time these markets and try to, sell at the top, and buy back at the bottom. But it all depends on what you want. So let's just get back to the end. Let's conclude this video. So I think to conclude is crypto is not going away. It's going to continue to grow. My belief is going to continue to grow, 10 to 100 fold, right? Taking the market cap from around $3 trillion to 10 trillion to 20 trillion to $100 trillion or more. Bitcoin has the potential to soak up 100 to 200 to 400 to $1 trillion, depending on who you're listening to, right? That's a lot of money that will flow into this space over the next, 5 to 10 years. So if you're trying to capture these small moves, the difference between $60,000 and $100,000, right, on Bitcoin along the way by selling and then buying more, right? I don't necessarily believe that's the best strategy for doing that, right? So I think it'd be much easier to just acquire Bitcoin knowing that it's going to go from 1 trillion to 5 trillion to 10 to 20 trillion or more in the next 5 years, right? That's a 10 to 20x on your investment just alone. And so it's like, how can you, rather than trying to eke out more percentage gains on that, by adding more risk through trading and adding, all the capital gains tax and all that kind of loss from moving funds and trying to get in and out of the market and timing all that. Instead of trying to do that, it's like, maybe you should think about how can I just allocate more funds to Bitcoin along the way so I can have greater percentages that capture 20% upside, and then greater percentages that capture 10% up or 10x up, 20x upside, 10x upside, and just think of in these baskets of like, all right, how much of my paycheck can I allocate towards this that I feel comfortable losing if everything goes to zero, but also that I feel comfortable putting in a piggy bank and saving and not touching for a while. So that's my recommendation for Bitcoin on should you sell your Bitcoin and why it's probably not a good idea, right? If something's going to go up, 10x, right? That's $600,000. So you pay $60,000, You can, by the way, you can buy $5 worth of Bitcoin, but you pay $60,000 and you have in 5 years, you have $600,000. That's a pretty good investment. That's a pretty good return on your investment right there, without having to do anything else, right? And you can then leverage that asset, because in 5 years, if Bitcoin's worth $600,000, there'll be infrastructure and systems in place to make it easier for you as an individual to leverage that asset to where you don't have to sell it, to where you can earn yield on it, right? So you can still capture more upside and you have that utility of one of the most desirable assets out there. So that's for that. I might make another video on trading and altcoins and why you get involved with altcoins, why you would invest there, who should invest, and if you should, right? And that's not necessarily not everyone shouldn't, right? I think everyone should start out with a foundation in crypto. So with that said, thank you for tuning in. If you like this, if you found this helpful, definitely smash the like button, hit subscribe, share it with a friend, and just a real quick to end. If you want to learn more about crypto, right? If you want to build a foundation, I recommend everyone build that foundation, right? Education is the most important thing in this space, right? Not just from one person, but from everywhere. I've taken the MIT classes. I've done watch as many crypto lectures as I can, read as many books as possible. It takes time to learn. And so what I have is, if you click the link in my bio, I have a program where you go and I just basically teach you the basics of crypto, show you how to get set up on exchanges, how to do things safely and securely, how to avoid scams, all this stuff, so you kind of accelerate your learning process and you get a better perspective on how to view the market, so you can start making good decisions sooner rather than later, right? So you can make decisions and avoid scams, avoid hacks, avoid buying the wrong coin, or avoid doing something that you'll later regret because you just didn't know, right? So if that interests you, go check out the link in my bio and go sign up for the training, right? I think it's $100, and I show you how to get over $150 in Bitcoin, so you make your money back when you implement, and you're building that foundation so that you can actually take advantage of this space, not just like to put $100 in and hope it doubles so you have more beer money, but for the long term, right? So you can build that generational wealth and create that financial freedom in your life. So hopefully this is helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. I'll catch you later. Peace.